Let's hear it for Dr. Donald Toldson, Sr.
Good evening, Elevate Daytona 2025. As you stated, my name is Dr. Donald D. Toldson, Sr. I'm a speaker, author, coach, and trainer. But by a show of hands, before we get started, by a show of hands, how many of you have ever experienced an uncivil act or even witnessed an uncivil act? Raise your hand. Good. That's good. What if I told you that it's possible, truly possible, to live in a world where people feel valued, respected, empowered, and heard? A world where active listening is the norm. A world where constructive feedback is offered to build up and not tear down. A world where showing up every day, knowing and feeling that your voice matters. That world, it isn't a dream. It's attainable. But it doesn't happen by chance. It happens when each and every one of us commit to creating it. Research shows that 161 million people work in the United States every day. And more than 58% of those workers says that our world is uncivil or becoming uncivil. And Americans experience a staggering 223 million acts of incivility per day. And businesses are losing an estimated $2 billion per day in lost productivity, absenteeism, and disengagement. When most of us hear the word civility, we think of politeness, saying please, thank you, and you're welcome. Kind words, because we have been taught that life and death lies in the power of the tongue. Those that love it should eat the fruit thereof. But it's so much more. It's about acceptance. It's about creating a space where we can use those diverse voices to lift people up and to not tear them down. And to ensure that everyone knows that their voice is heard. In 2007, I was working for the U.S. Postal Service. And on this particular day, it was a Monday, the day after a long holiday weekend. And the city carriers were out there doing everything that they can to ensure that every customer received their mail. But with that amount of volume, it just wasn't going to happen. The supervisor, he storms onto the workroom floor. He said, Toldson, what time will your people be back into the office? I said, sir, around about 6 p.m. But Mr. Richardson, he's around about 6:30. He's an older gentleman, a little slower. The postmaster did not care or have any concern about the effort. He picked up the phone and he dialed Mr. Richardson. He said, Jeff, if you're not back in the office by 6 p.m., I will personally put my foot up your... And you can imagine the vulgarity that came from his mouth. In an effort to meet the postmaster's demand, Jeff ran through the stoplight, struck another vehicle, injuring himself and the other driver. The post office paid out an estimated $5 million in lost wages, lawsuits, medical bills, disengagement, and the list goes on and on. So how do we fix this? First, there's awareness. You can't fix what you're not willing to see. We must talk about civility. We must define civility. We must make it a part of our everyday conversation. Next, leaders must model civility. Leadership is so much more than just task and title. It's also about tone. As leaders, we have a responsibility to model what we want to see within our organization. And finally, empower everyone. Every team member has a responsibility of creating a culture that they want to see within their organization. So why do civility matters? Because it protects people. It preserves dignity. It creates a safe space where people can thrive and not just survive. Civility, it starts with a civil conversation. And that civil conversation starts with you and I. So what if I told you that it's possible, truly possible, to live in a world where people feel valued, respected, empowered, and heard? A world where active listening is the norm. A world where constructive feedback is offered to build up and not tear down. A world where showing up every day, knowing and feeling that your voice matters. Civility for all.